little delayed there. The Prime Minister kept looking at the kayak over there, and I knew what he was going through his mind, saying, geez, I'd love to unload that and go. Look, wonderful to be here today. A historical moment for Islanders, Prince Edward Island, our MPs. And first of all, I want to take a quick shout out to Ron and Pam for allowing us to use this. I don't think the view gets much better on Prince Edward Island than what you're staring at today and what we have our backs to. It's absolutely phenomenal. Piece of engineering that's been a statue for us as a recognition of an island. So I just wanted to, first of all, thank everyone that's here, MP McDonald, Casey Morrissey, Iacona, who took the bridge and spending, like many people in Canada, his time on Prince Edward Island as a tourist. Minister Freeland, Minister Thompson, Premier Lance, and of course our PM, Mark Carney. Look, it all started here in Confederation Bridge. We're very fortunate to get to this point. It's something that Islanders have been asking for a long time. And I'm not going to take too much time because I think there's more important things to talk about than me standing up here. But I do want to say, as a relatively new MP, as a new cabinet minister, working closely with Minister Freeland's office on this and the MPs that represent Prince Edward Island, and having the leadership of Mr. Carney to get this across the finish line for us, it's pretty special for all of us. And look, we're united across this country, as you all know. We're reunited across this country, as you all know. We're building Canada as fast and as quickly as possible to face some adversities that we have. And this is part of it. This is part of it. And I can still remember my first meeting with Mr. Carney, and he said to me, what are your 3 things for P.E.I? And I won't mention the other 2, but I will mention this one. We're not there yet on the other 2. But I will mention this one, and it was the bridge. And I won't say his response, but it was like, whoa, this is awesome. So without further ado, Mr. Carney, look, we appreciate it here as Islanders and as MPs that represent the island, working with you and Minister Freeland's office. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Heath. You weren't calling me Mister back then when you were listing the 3 things. Thank you, Minister, for that kind introduction. And I want to thank our Atlantic Caucus, or P.E.I. caucus here, Ministers Freeland and Thompson, MPs from across the country just happened to be dropping by. I want to acknowledge and thank Premier Lance for taking the time to be here today, and for his leadership of this province, and leadership incoming now, leader and chair of the Council of the Federation, incredibly important body. I'm going to say a few words about what Heath was just talking about, bringing the country closer together. And the Council of the Federation, group of premiers working with the federal government, is a big part of that. Look, it's always a good day when you wake up on Prince Edward Island. It's true. They're here. And today is an especially good day. It's a big day. So I want to get right to it. One of the reasons 7 months ago that I decided to run for Parliament was to bring Canadians closer together so that we could build Canada strong. And back in early February, when I visited Charlottetown, I had those conversations with Heath, with Sean, with Lawrence, with Bobby, Lawrence McCauley at the time, the Kent McDonald of his day, Lawrence McCauley. Had those conversations, and that caucus made this point to me, and I made a promise then, obviously to Islanders, but all Atlantic Canadians, that we would cut the tolls on the Confederation Bridge to $20, and that we would cut the fares on the Eastern ferries and Marine Atlantic in half. And today we're making good on those promises. And we're doing that to bring Atlantic Canada closer together, bring Canadians closer together. There's around 3,000 vehicles crossing Confederation Bridge on average every single day. It's 1 million vehicles every year. And each time drivers leave P.E.I. on the bridge, I don't know why they leave P.E.I. on the bridge, but they have to go, they're paying over $50 right now. For trucks, the toll's even higher, and those trucks are often driving back and forth multiple times during the day to transport goods. And the Eastern Ferry Service and Marine Atlantic are essential transportation corridors between the island, Quebec, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. And there's over 2,500 people, 1,200 vehicles, both passengers and commercial, that take those routes every single day. And the costs of the bridge and the ferry don't just fall on tourists like Angelo. They hit his family. They hit islanders. Angelo's staying an extra day, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you why he's staying. They hit islanders, Newfoundlanders, Nova Scotians, New Brunswickers, and Quebecers, and Canadians commuting to work or visiting family and friends. They make it more expensive for businesses of all sizes. Depuis quelques années, les Canadiens et Canadiennes sont confrontés à une crise du coût de la vie. Et le nouveau gouvernement du Canada reste concentré sur l'objectif de réduire les coûts pour que les Canadiens puissent garder une plus grande partie de l'argent qu'ils ont durement gagné et que les entreprises puissent prospérer. If we're going to build a stronger, more united economy, and we are doing that, we are going to need to make it more affordable to travel around this country for people and for businesses. And that's what we're doing today. As of August 1st, the day Angelo and his family are now leaving the island, Canada's new government is reducing the toll for all vehicles on the Confederation Bridge by more than half, from $50 to $25 to $20. And we're reducing the tariffs, the fares, by 50% for passengers, for vehicles, for commercial traffic on Eastern ferries, those Eastern ferries that are federally supported, and funding Marine Atlantic to reduce its passenger fares by 50% on both routes and freeze freight rates. So this is big, it's big money. Combined, this is going to save users approximately $100 million. And that's $100 million and go back into our economy year after year. Savings that'll get funneled back into local businesses. That'll catalyze new investment and forge deeper connections. For example, the reductions to the Marine Atlantic fares in Newfoundland and Labrador alone are expected to bring over $28 million into that province's economy and boost out-of-province tourism. As the saying goes, a rising tide lifts all boats. Alors. Le nouveau gouvernement du Canada a reçu le mandat de bâtir une économie et un Canada plus fort, un Canada abordable. Pour ce faire, il faut d'abord s'assurer que chacun dispose des ressources nécessaires. On day one in government, we canceled the consumer carbon tax. So it's a lot less expensive to drive cars in Canada this summer. Our first order of business in the House of Commons following the election was to cut taxes for all Canadians, including the middle class, to reduce the cost of housing for first-time home buyers, making the goal of home ownership a reality for many Canadians. These measures provide immediate relief for hardworking Canadians. But the brighter future that Canadians deserve requires much more. And that's why we're transforming our national economy, moving from reliance to resilience, from potential to prosperity. And a big part of this transformation is to bring the country closer together, because economies are additive of one another. When we connect regional economies through travel and trade, they're stronger than the sum of their parts. That's what we've been doing with our One Canadian Economy Act, which is eliminating all federal barriers to the movement of goods and people. And I want to thank the Minister of Transport, who's also the Minister of Internal Trade, Chrystia Freeland, for leading that effort. And we're working with the provinces and territories, now under Premier Lance's chairship, to remove far more significant barriers that exist between provinces, and there's huge progress being made on that. Nous pouvons nous donner plus qu'aucun gouvernement étranger ne pourra jamais nous enlever. Lorsque nous créons une seule économie canadienne au lieu de 13, nous sommes plus forts. C'est le but ultime lorsque nous éliminons les barrières commerciales internes, lorsque nous bâtissons de grands projets comme le pont de la Confédération qui relie notre pays. Lorsque nous rendons plus abordable la traversée de ce pont pour les Canadiens et les entreprises. When we make it more affordable to travel between provinces, we increase mobility across the region. We build a stronger Atlantic Canada, and with more opportunity and greater prosperity. And that's exactly why we're also focused on building major projects, such as new energy and trade corridors, that will connect our provincial and territorial economies and create new links between Canada and the rest of the world to build Canada strong. Nation-building projects that will create high-paying careers and turbocharge our industries of the future, from agriculture, close to Heath's heart and my heart, agriculture to artificial intelligence. Look, I'll finish by observing, and I have to observe on a day like this, I've been fortunate in so many ways, including being here on Prince Edward Island on a gorgeous summer day. Today's announcement will mean more Canadians can see more of Atlantic Canada. And so all Canadian families can have the chance to enjoy our beautiful country this summer. We've also created the Canada Strong Pass. So families can visit our national parks, our museums, our galleries, and our historical sites for free. It allows Canadians to take the Via Rail through the Rockies with their kids at a lower cost, drive across Confederation Bridge to see Cavendish Beach in P.E.I. National Park, where I'm headed right after this, I might add. Ou, à votre retour, voir le village historique acadien pour que vos enfants puissent en apprendre sur le grand dérangement. Et c'est le jour de la commémoration du grand dérangement aujourd'hui. Et l'histoire incroyable et résiliente des Acadiens, comme j'en ai eu la chance hier. We as Canadians are fortunate to live in the greatest country in the world. It's also, this is true, yeah. It's also one of the largest countries in the world. And with today's announcement, we're bringing it a bit closer together as Canadians come together to build Canada Strong. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the Minister of Transportation and Internal Trade, Chrystia Freeland. Minister.
Okay, good morning, everyone. What a beautiful day here on PEI. Thank you so much, Prime Minister. It is such a privilege to be here with you and our wonderful colleagues from the island, Atlantic Canada, and even a visitor from Quebec. Our new government is delivering on a core commitment to build one strong, united Canadian economy, and that includes making it easier to get around in Atlantic Canada. Today's announcement will bring real, measurable economic benefits and make life more affordable for businesses and families in this great community and across Atlantic Canada. Comme le Premier ministre vient d'annoncer, à compter du 1er août, on réduit les coûts sur certaines routes de transport et plus importants dans l'est du Québec et dans l'ensemble du Canada Atlantique. This is a really big deal. The tolls for all vehicles on that great bridge are going to go down to $20 on August 1st, on Friday. We're cutting the fares by 50% for all vehicles on the Eastern Canada Ferry Services that are federally supported. And we're supporting Marine Atlantic to reduce fares for passengers by 50%, passengers and passenger vehicles. This is about keeping a campaign promise that the Prime Minister made here with P.E.I. colleagues. Promise made, today, promise kept. This is about making life affordable for people here on P.E.I. and across Atlantic Canada and Quebec. And as the Prime Minister has just explained, this is about building one Canadian economy. This is about building Canada strong. I do want to offer a shout out specifically to the P.E.I. MPs who are here. Bobby, Sean, Heath, Lawrence also, he's still kind of here with us. Kent, they have been absolutely tireless in campaigning for this. I couldn't even say hello to them without hearing about the bridge. It's true, they're laughing, but persistence works. For me, really, they are role models because they know their community and they have worked so hard to advocate for their community. So gentlemen, well done. Maybe take a minute before bugging us about other things. No, we love it. And I do also I'm really happy that Premier Lance is here. He has worked really hard on this with us. And, we have, as the Prime Minister has said, we have a lot of work to do. Building Canada strong, building one Canadian economy. P.E.I. has led Confederation since we had Confederation, and we're counting on you to do that at this time of real national challenge. Nearly 65% of all goods to and from Newfoundland are transported by Marine Atlantic. That includes fresh produce, medical supplies, and home heating fuel. Cutting those costs means more reliable supply chains and lower prices for consumers. Avec des frais réduits et un meilleur service, davantage de Canadiens seront incités à explorer le Canada atlantique et ce contribuera à soutenir nos entreprises locales, à faire croître nos économies régionales et à générer des emplois et de la croissance économique. On construit une économie canadienne moderne où les marchandises circulent librement, la main-d'œuvre se déplace facilement et où les Canadiens peuvent vivre, travailler et s'épanouir où qu'ils choisissent. We are cutting tolls and ferry fares. And in doing that, we are breaking down interprovincial trade barriers that divide our markets and limit our nation's economic potential. As we've just heard from the Prime Minister, this is a really challenging time for Canada. We all know it. But if we work together, if we build one Canadian economy, if we build Canada strong, we can give more to ourselves, we can do more for ourselves and each other than anyone can take away from us. Together, we are building the strongest economy in the G7, in the best country in the world. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. And I think I'm passing it over now to the Minister of Fisheries, Joanne.
Thank you. Good morning, and I am so pleased to be here today with my colleagues, Prime Minister, for this important announcement and to be here in beautiful Prince Edward Island. I am from another island, Newfoundland and Labrador, and I can tell you, I'm proud to say, please come visit. I know well what this announcement today means for my province. We are reliant on Marine Atlantic as part of our connection with the Atlantic Canadian provinces and also the rest of Canada. This is an important decision for us on connectivity. It's an important decision for our economy, and it is an important decision for our families and how we connect. So, Prime Minister, thank you. Over here. Thank you, Prime Minister. This is an incredibly important decision to my colleagues who've worked alongside of me for so long to ensure this happens. Prime Minister, you've really made it happen, and thank you. And this is a proud day for all Atlantic Canadians and for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. Thank you.
We'll now start our press conference. One question, one follow-up. Une question, une suivi.
Wayne Thibodeau from CBC News Network. Hi, Prime Minister. Emmanuel Macron has announced that France will fully recognize Palestinian statehood later this year. Will Canada follow suit? And if not, why?
Well, the first thing is to recognize the scale at which we do and deplore the scale of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Also the challenges in the West Bank. The lack of respect of the territorial integrity of Palestine and the West Bank. We've condemned what has caused this situation. It starts with Hamas and the deplorable terrorist attacks of October 7th. We are very focused on the provision of humanitarian aid by all methods, by all parties, Canada included. We have more than $300 million of humanitarian aid that's spring-loaded to be supplied, that's been prevented from being supplied to those in dire need. We welcome the early steps on widening the channels by which that aid can be delivered, that those need to be expanded and they need to be made real. This is about facts on the ground in Gaza to provide the aid to the suffering peoples. The issues around two-state solution, we've always supported and we continue to support the two-state solution with a free and viable Palestine living in peace and side by side in peace and security with Israel. We will work with the international community, work with others to move towards a situation of a ceasefire, a two-state solution that meets those criteria that I just mentioned, that does not include Hamas in any role in a future Palestinian state, and we will take steps that advance those fundamental principles at the appropriate time.
Est-ce possible d'avoir en français aussi?
En français, si on commence avec la situation qui est très grave, la situation humanitaire à Gaza, qui est tellement grave, tellement sérieuse. Et ce qui est absolument essentiel, c'est l'approvisionnement immédiat et dans une manière compréhensive de l'aide humanitaire pour les peuples qui habitent là. Le Canada a déjà préparé plus de 300 millions de dollars de l'aide humanitaire. Il faut avoir des chaînes d'approvisionnement partout au Gaza. Nous accueillons les étapes qui viennent de commencer, que l'État Israël vient d'apprendre, mais il faut les augmenter immédiatement. En ce qui concerne les deux États, le Canada soutient un État palestinien libre et viable qui habite côte à côte avec dans le paix et la sécurité côte à côte avec l'État israélien. Et nous prenons toutes les étapes nécessaires afin d'avoir un État palestinien comme cela. Mais Hamas ne peut jamais jouer aucun rôle dans cet État. D'accord. Merci.
You mentioned internal trade. Well, we're only days away now from that August 1st deadline of a trade deal with the U.S. How likely...
Is that right?
You can update us on that. How likely
I was
is
more
the-
focused on the $50 to the $20 on the, yeah.
And we'll get to that, I
Okay.
promise. How likely is the deal by deadline? And what do you say to industry who are obviously anxious about this upcoming deadline?
Yeah, well, let me start with the second part of your question, which is industry, businesses, Canadians, yeah, they are anxious and they are concerned. They don't deserve the uncertainty that's been thrust upon them. They don't like it. They like resolution, but they'd also like another. They want the right kind of resolution. They want a deal that makes sense for Canada, that makes sense for Canadian business, for Canadian workers, and the negotiations are at a intense phase. It's a complex negotiation. You see with the various trade deals that have been agreed by other jurisdictions, European Union yesterday, Japan before, Indonesia, etc., the United Kingdom, that there are many aspects to these negotiations. We're engaged in them, but the assurance for Canadian business, for Canadians, is we will only sign a deal that's the right deal, that's a good deal for Canada. We're representing Canada, we're standing up for Canada. The United States and Canada can do many good things together. We have done that in the past. We can do more in the future, but on fair terms for our country.
Can you also ask us what the price of this announcement is today, please?
Well, the simple answer to your question on the cost is the savings. The savings to Canadians over $100 million a year, and then those savings get reinvested. So the multiplier is that we end up net ahead, but use $100 million for the cost.
Next question.
Morning, Prime Minister.
Morning.
Keith Doucette, Canadian Press. Just piggybacking off the last question, sorry. Is it your expectation that any deal that we may be near would be somewhere in the ballpark what we just seen with the Europeans, 15% across the board? Is that acceptable?
Look, we have some similarities with the European Union in terms of our commercial relationships with the United States. We're one of their most important trade partners. Number two, depending on how you measure it, both imports and exports. We, like the European Union, are one of the largest investors in the United States. Our companies, our pension funds, others invest heavily in the United States. We are also partners in defense and security with the United States, as you saw with the agreements at NATO just last month. So there are similarities, there are differences. One is geographic proximity. Secondly is Europe. I'll give you one example of the difference. Europe, in that agreement yesterday, made commitments to buy American energy. Europe needs to fully get itself off Russian energy. So they're going to buy American energy to help them do that. America needs Canadian energy. You get a Canadian electricity. The only reason they run a trade deficit with Canada in goods and commodities is because they import around 4 million barrels a day in Canadian energy, as well as that electricity and other. So we're in a different position. Similarities, there are differences, and that is why these negotiations, whether it's with our negotiations, which is all, where we're focused, but whether it's the other ones with Japan or European Union, they're different. They're tough negotiations, as they should be. As I say, we're standing up for Canada, Canadian interests. Of course, the United States is looking out. The President's looking out for the interests of American workers. There is a landing zone that's possible, but we have to get there, and we'll see what happens.
Does that landing zone include supply management in any way? Are you open to more U.S. access to the Canadian market for dairy?
We've been clear about supply management. We've been clear about language rights as things that are fundamental to our structure. The access, there was access negotiated, and as part of, as Minister Freeland knows, as part of the existing USMCA, as they would call it, CUSMA Accord, and the question is the effectiveness of those arrangements. So look, we're going to, as I say, we'll stand up for Canada's best interests. Yeah, Madame.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Myriam Brault, Radio-Canada, RDI. Donc, en français maintenant, les ententes annoncées récemment par les États-Unis avec l'Union européenne, le Japon ou le Royaume-Uni, par exemple, prévoient tous des tarifs. Est-ce que le Canada, lui, peut encore espérer une attente sans tarif d'ici le 1er août?
Comme j'ai fait l'observation il y a quelques semaines qu'il est peu probable qu'il y ait des accords sans tarif, avec aucun tarif. Il y a quelques mois que j'ai fait l'observation que l'approche américaine, tout est changé. C'est pas une approche d'intégration qui continue. C'est une approche avec des tarifs pour quelques secteurs dont à leurs avis, les secteurs clés, les secteurs pour la sécurité nationale américaine. Alors, mais il y a une question du niveau, il y a des questions du taille des tarifs et il y a des questions d'autres aspects, y compris la sécurité du Canada.
Et puis justement, le président Donald Trump a dit lui-même vendredi qu'il était insatisfait, qu'il n'y avait peut-être plus rien à négocier avec le Canada. Où est-ce que ça bloque dans les négociations ou les pourparlers avec les Américains?
C'est une négociation. On dit de temps en temps, je ne suis pas satisfait. Les Canadiens sont difficiles. Oui, bien sûr, nous sommes difficiles parce qu'on se bat pour le Canada.
Bonjour, M. le Premier ministre.
Bonjour.
Raphaël Caron, Radio-Canada, Charlottetown. À quel point est-ce que la population locale, soit les politiciens, les entreprises, les résidents, ont eu un impact sur l'annonce ici à l'île du Prince-Édouard du pont?
À partir de la semaine prochaine, ou pas la semaine prochaine, vendredi prochain.
À quel point est-ce que les politiciens dans le passé et le public ont eu un impact sur l'annonce?
Un impact. Pour moi, c'est avec la conversation que M. McDonald vient de mentionner. Au mois de février, nous avons eu, nous quatre, et puis avec M. McCauley, cette conversation en ce qui concerne l'importance d'accélérer. Et j'ai eu des conversations avec le ministre des Pêches également en ce qui concerne l'économie de Newfoundland. Alors, c'est au début de l'année et au début de la campagne. Et le point, ce qui est important, si on fait une promesse, un engagement pendant une campagne électorale, il faut le respecter. Et aujourd'hui, nous respectons nos engagements. Merci.
Hello, Colin McLean, Journal Pioneer, The Guardian, local newspapers.
Great.
You mentioned that this agreement's going to cost about $100 million.
Million, yeah.
Is that annually? How long is the agreement for? Can you tell me a bit more about that?
So just to give you context, the longer agreement of Confederation Bridge is that there's a lease arrangement for the operators. I'm sure you know it runs till 2032. So we put this in place for the 7 years to match the timeline to 2032. And then, at some point in advance of that, you don't wait till the last minute. The federal government, whether I'm there or not, the federal government will make a determination of what's next. But what's best for the island, for islanders, what's best for the Atlantic Canadian economy. And I think one of the things we're very clearly doing here is recognizing that all the transportation links are relevant. So you don't move one and not move the other. And so the cost, and to the point of the cost, is you look at the cost, that's the immediate savings, no change in the number of cars and truck traffic. I think, candidly, we'd hope that we hope and would expect that we're going to see an increase because it's cheaper. It's particularly for the commercial traffic and people. You're already seeing. Sorry, Angelo, I keep calling them out, but it's a real live example that you got a family of 3 who are staying on the island for another day because you're cheap, but also because. No, but that's the point, and you start to see those dynamics as well. So there's a cost, depending on how you look at it. There's a cost in terms of the reduction. If only we had a $50 tariff, we'd make more, but we'd have fewer people, and that's part of the point. Those links aren't there, and then we get more activity. So it gives more than it takes. Thanks.
Can you tell me a bit about the negotiations to get here? How receptive was Straight Crossing, Marine Atlantic?
It's just boom, done. Yeah, we worked through the federal government worked through, and It's we made the decision, the determination, what was right, and yeah, it's just straight. And look, they'll continue to operate and keep it up. They need to keep their side of the bargain, but yeah, straightforward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, they're good operators. Yeah.
Good morning, Maria Sarusi, TV News.
Morning.
The White House says it's not focused on Canada in its trade talks. So what is your government going to do to convince the U.S. of the importance of finding a resolution?
It's a negotiation. It's a negotiation. Take what's said in the public domain as part of that context.
If
Last
Canada,
question.
if Canada can't reach a trade deal with the U.S. by Friday, what was the benefit of giving up revenue collection from the digital services tax so early?
I think well, first off, it's a hypothetical on a hypothetical. So we'll see where things land in terms of the negotiation. There are pros and cons of that tax, as there are with any tax. And taking the step has some advantages for us in terms of our economy, in terms of digital investment and others. So we'll see the benefit of that and move forward. And look, what we're doing, and today's about this, last week at the Council of the Federation was very much about this, is building our country, bringing it closer together. This is one real tangible example, but there are many more that are less immediately obvious. Changing regulations, changing certain aspects, prohibitions on people moving across the country to practice their trade, moving goods, etc. And then these big nation building projects. I mean, one of the Premier and I were talking this morning, and one of the successes on the island is that the demand for electricity is going up. It's partly because of economic activity. It's partly because of shifting to more efficient fuel sources like heat pumps and others. Well, okay, we have that, and then how do we integrate better the electricity systems in the region in order to help meet those growing demands? So I know that's it may seem like it's a long way from a trade discussion at the end of this week to that, but that's the real component of what we're doing, and what we're really spending the vast part of our time on is what we can control, and building the country together, bringing the country together, and then building out the country.
Merci tout le monde.
Merci.
That's the end of our press conference.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.